So here's a really interesting sentence from this TED Talk. Quote unquote, critically acclaimed, world-renowned B-list celebrity.
Mm,
Famous guy, huh?
you're right.
Yeah, but had you ever heard of him?
I never heard of him actually.
Neither had I. Well, let's start by having you read that sentence, if you would, please.
Okay. And then also I have some follow-up questions after this.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. A quote-unquote critically acclaimed world-renowned B-list celebrity.
Yeah, and that was good pronunciation on world
Oof,
because I
thank
know
God.
that R can be a little tricky. So
Yeah, R
very
and
good.
L at the same time.
Yeah, that's kind of like what we call a double whammy, two things happening at once.
Right.
Right. So do you want to ask your questions or do you want to talk about the definition?
So my question is what acclaimed means.
Okay. Acclaimed. And you see in it the word claim. So you
Hmm.
almost think like, oh, I need to claim my reward, but that isn't really what it means. It just means basically that someone who is famous.
Oh, someone who's famous. Okay.
Yeah, like they've attracted the attention or approval of the public. So typically use it with like an artist, a writer, or a poet,
Okay.
somebody kind of like that. So critically acclaimed, meaning theoretically famous, kind of sort of well known.
Okay. And then my another question is what B list is.
B list. And I don't think you hear that super often, but there's B list and there's A list. So B list are like the less famous people, famous but less famous.
Oh, okay.
So maybe, for example, a A-list person, like in terms of actors, could be someone that's like really well known, like Harrison Ford or Hugh Jackman, Julia
Hmm.
Roberts,
Mm,
as opposed to maybe an entertainer or artist or whatever that is a little less well known.
okay. A little less unknown. Gotcha. It's
Yeah,
not like a super popular, but
at
yes.
least not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Maybe they're going to get there, but at least right now it's just like two different levels. Here's A level, here's B level.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. And then how
Mhm.
about quote unquote? Is that something that you're familiar with?
Quote unquote. I'm not, to be honest.
Okay, well, good. Then here's something new for you. So, what this just means is you're repeating someone else's words, right?
Okay.
And you would only use it in speech, right?
Okay.
I would not write that like in an email or in a letter or something like that, the quote unquote, because if you were going to write it, you would use quote marks.
Oh, homeworks like this.
Yeah, I mean, like the written quote marks.
Okay.
And another way you could say this could be a critically acclaimed,
Mm.
world renowned B-list celebrity. So you're using your fingers to indicate the quote marks,
Mm-hmm.
but
There you go.
well, that's always fun when that happens, right? So we're celebrating somebody's really
We
famous.
are. We are.
Quote unquote, like sometimes you would say that when you're speaking while you're using your fingers to do the quote marks so that the person understands in case they don't get what the finger quote marks mean.
Okay, so but when you do this gesture, you don't to say a quote unquote, right?
I don't think you need to. I think it's understood, but some people will do it just to accentuate,
Okay. What
to
what does that
stress,
mean?
accentuate,
Yeah, eccentric.
to like to put an accent on it. Probably the
Oh,
root word is accent. So to point out, to strengthen, to make it more obvious.
okay, gotcha. 시간이 없어서 영어를 연습할 환경이 안 돼서 자꾸 영어 실력이 줄고만 있는 것 같아서 고민이신가요? 여러분도 이제 미국 원어민 선생님과 50분간 100% 영어로 진행하는 수업을 통해서 조금 더 정확하고 자연스러운 영어를 배울 수 있습니다. 저처럼 여러분들도 하실 수 있어요. 고민하지 마시고 지금 바로 시작해보세요.
So here's another sentence, quote unquote. The review said this was, quote unquote, the best movie ever made.
Wow.
Mm.
Is
Now,
it Is it based on like your experience or?
Well, that would be like I might say to you, like, oh, hey, do you want to go to the movies this afternoon? Let's go see. I don't even know any current movies. Let's go see Jaws.
Just okay.
And the review said this was quote unquote the best movie ever
Mm,
made. So it's like
okay.
I've read some review and I'm quoting from the
Somebody else.
yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
All right. So your turn. Would you read the example sentence?
Sure. The review said this was quote unquote the best movie ever made.
Yep. Okay, good job.
Mhm.
So some synonyms for quote unquote so-called, presumed, alleged, and claimed, right? There you already see it in the sentence with acclaimed. So so-called critically acclaimed B-list
Mm,
celebrity, a presumed, supposed.
okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what do you think about quote unquote? Are you got any ideas on how you could use that like in a sentence or in an example for me?
Yes. Here's my sentence.
Okay, let's hear it.
Being fluent in English is quote unquote the best skill to have a decent job or to get a decent job.
That's great. That's a really good use of it. So, you're saying that so these are perhaps somebody else's words, could even be your own belief, but you're giving a little bit of flexibility to it.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good job.